Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. Good morning, Beth.
Good morning, Mike. It's morning.
It is morning. We are recording this on Sunday morning. Beth has decided to skip church today. Why? Why are you skipping church to record a podcast, Beth?
I'm exhausted. It was your birthday yesterday.
How does my birthday exhaust you?
I'm leaving tomorrow to travel for work early in the morning.
Wow, nobody ever does that.
Okay, this was not like my decision. This is like a really poor way to start. I'm not liking this.
I'm loving it. We need a little more spice. I'm feeling a little, I don't know, what do you call it? Kind of like instigating, poking the mama bear this morning. That's how I'm feeling right now.
I'm not here for that. Can we move on to a topic? Like, you're being mean.
Well, let's talk about this. How was my birthday?
It was good. I thought you even said it was good. You said it was one of the best ones.
Which is shocking because usually my birthday, when we look at the scale of special occasions and holidays throughout the year, I come in really under Flag Day as far as recognizable events. So it was a nice day. We went out and ate a nice bougie breakfast.
At Midtown Cafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, bougie for me and Maria and Jacob, not for you and Josh. I found out y'all eat there a lot.
Well, Josh doesn't eat there a lot, but I would eat there all the time. I used to meet Father Bob there. That was the place. A lot of the Salem ladies, that's where we like to eat. I mean, it's just a place that people, even some people from work, I would eat there pretty routinely. So, yeah.
It's a bougie restaurant.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And I felt like being bougie yesterday. I was like, it's my birthday. You only turned 52 once.
Because what's bougie about it? I mean, I don't know. They're probably bougier, though. I think, to me, what's interesting when you say it's bougie, because sometimes I think about bougie as being uncomfortable and stiff, and it's not like that.
No.
It's a very comfortable,
Oh, yeah.
like that kind of act. But what's bougie about it is like, well,
it's
didn't order
bougie
this.
for breakfast.
Yes.
It ain't Cagney's.
Exactly.
It ain't the Olympic.
Because if you get pancakes, I mean, not to be with diners and stuff, but they might put blueberries and stuff in it and put a little decaying whipped cream or whatever. But here it's like, we have banana pecan pancakes with a special homemade blueberry syrup. And then we have like omelets that are like tomato
Everything
and Parmesan.
Everything they have sounds like a dish that came off the bear.
Yeah, and it's also because all the...
But you just can't get eggs and bacon.
But the breakfast is what I think. I mean, a lot of people get lunch, but I would always go get breakfast even at lunch because they have so many different pancakes. And I didn't have this because I didn't want to necessarily like clog my arteries immediately in the morning. But they have a 5-flavor pound cake. And they make it into French toast and put stuff on it. And so I was like... That sounded crazy good, too.
Whoever is listening to this in the morning, at whenever they would listen, whatever day, is probably now really hungry.
Yes.
So if you're in Winston-Salem, we would recommend the Midtown.
And I told the kids a funny story about it. So when I was looking at colleges, I qualified for this scholarship at Salem. And so you went for this scholarship and you interviewed during the day and you stayed overnight. And that was when I met Chris and Katrina. I stayed in their dorm room. So I knew.
Katrina?
Yes.
The one that didn't submit a question.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I'm so bitter about that.
That was when I met them and I stayed in their dorm room. But as part of the event, you go through scholarship interviews, they give you a tour and all that. But at night, they took us out to this place that was called the Desertery. And it was in Three-Way Shopping Center, but it was only desserts. And they had like a million desserts, like this display case with all these like crazy cakes and stuff. And I've always loved pound cake. My mom sometimes will even make a pound cake for my birthday. And so I remember that was when I got this famous 5-flavor pound cake, and you try to taste what the different 5 flavors are. But
now, when you saw it, were you like, I never seen no pound cake like that before?
That's exactly what I said.
Because you were fresh out of the mountains.
Yeah, and I didn't have all my teeth, and so they didn't know if I'd be able to eat it.
Yeah. Is that thing really weigh a pound?
That's exactly what happened. Meanwhile, all the other people that were there were just so sophisticated, unlike me. But one thing that's crazy about that is that we were all interviewing for this big scholarship, and I think there were 12 of us that were there, and like 7 of us ended up going to Salem. It was really kind of crazy. But so I stayed with Chris and Katrina, but they took us to get this. But fast forward to eventually.
And you slept on the floor in their dorm room?
Yeah, I think that's what we did. I think.
So is this some form of like Salem hazing?
Yes, that's exactly.
Let's wine and dine our. Here's what I think is funny. Maybe Salem looked at every single scholarship candidate and custom designed the weekend for them. And they took one look at you and were like, yeah, that girl likes cake right there. You know what? She probably ain't slept on her bed her whole life. She'll be all right sleeping on the floor. So they were like, let's put her on the floor in this person's room and let's just feed her cake and she'll come here.
And that is all we're going to take. Yeah. Well, where this story was going, but then I have to go back to one other thing about Salem that was crazy. So is that the Desertery, which is what it was called, then became Midtown Cafe and Desertery, moved across the street to where it is now. But when you walk in, they still hold on to that Desertery part, because as soon as you walk in, there's that massive display case. It's not as big, but that place in Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah, Marietta Diner.
Marietta Diner. You know, they're kind of known for that too. So I feel like that's like Midtown Cafe and Desertery's thing is like they have all those desserts and then they have these fancy breakfasts and all that stuff. So, yeah. And actually, when Marissa was in town, Chris and Marissa met there. So, I mean, in July.
Marissa's one of my favorite Salem sisters.
Well, why is that?
She's better than Katrina.
Oh, Katrina, please don't listen to him.
She made you sleep on the floor. Why are you still friends with her? She hazed you.
She did. Katrina, you don't have to put up with this. Another random thing about Salem, though, you know, Casey, I met her.
Casey messaged me yesterday on my birthday.
Did she?
I hadn't heard from that girl in years.
Oh, and she messaged you. That's sweet.
She said, happy birthday, Mikey G.
Oh.
Yeah, she always called me Mikey
Yeah.
G.
That's sweet. Anyway, so.
I just said, who is this?
And you're like, I do not know a Casey that spells their name that way.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like,
in my old age, I've forgotten all this
sorry,
stuff.
I'm taken.
Yeah. Sorry.
I thought it was just some Instagram bot sending me a message trying to, seduce me.
Well, in Country Gone to the City thing at the Salem stuff too. So when they would do things, Salem used to have those little cucumber sandwiches, and there'd be these little round pieces of bread with, like, I guess some cream cheese stuff and cucumbers. So they'd have stuff like that. But they would also have what they called Salem tea. And it was like just this very, very good tea. And I thought that they just served Salem tea, like in what we called the wrap for the refractory. I thought that that's what you got all the time. And then when I got to Salem, I realized that they just had normal tea, and Salem tea was a special occasion thing. And then that was also the first time I had Moravian sugar cake. So Casey and I got a Moravian sugar cake and ate it together in the square. So I thought, like, wow, to your point, I thought I was going to be getting my 5-flavor pound cake, Moravian sugar cake, Salem tea. Yeah, I was going to have some blood sugar issues, I guess, if I'd gotten all the things I thought I would get. But they were special things.
They knew, the way to Beth's Salem heart.
Yeah.
Is through sweets.
And the last thing I left to say is Father Bob, who I talk about a lot, but he was like, he died in 2014, but he was the Episcopal minister at Salem, and I'm not Episcopalian, and nor have I been, but he was always so welcoming, and we went
to... Like a good Episcopalian, though, you're not in church today.
Anyway, he would always have Episcopal group, but he would sometimes take people as well to Midtown. And so I just have memories just of that. But then also, anytime we all came back into town and got back together, he had some issues, and Midtown actually cooked the food in the way that he could eat them, like with the fresh cut fries and stuff and things, because he had some gluten issues before everybody was like hearing about so much about celiac.
On the gluten bandwagon.
Yeah, but he actually had, and so they prepared the food the way that he could have it. And so I always think about the way he would order like his bacon or different things like that. So anyway, Midtown to me is a really special place. So I was kind of stunned when Jake and Maria were like, oh, we haven't been here. But I think it's because, as they got older, they don't eat breakfast as much. Like the kid, how they're just like, I'm not that hungry or whatever, or aren't big breakfast eaters. And it's in Winston. And so most of the time, because
Maria thoroughly
wouldn't go
loved
there.
it. So
Yeah.
I think I could see her and her friends eating there now.
all the time. Yeah.
So you start seeing Midtown charges pop up on
the credit card.
You'll know.
And we'll be like, Maria, you have to put this on your account, not ours. We can't pay. We don't have Midtown Cafe money.
That's right.
For every day. This is special occasion.
We got Cagney's money.
Yes, that's sometimes not even Cagney's money.
Yeah.
So
we just have, make our own coffee at home money. Like
that's
today.
like today, make our own coffee at home money. That's it. With the kids in college and stuff. That's what we got. Yeah.
So I had a nice birthday. I got up. We had breakfast with all the kids, which was really nice.
We went by your shop and checked on it.
Straightened up the shop a little bit.
And walked around a little bit in that area. And then we went to look for a couch.
Yeah, spontaneously. We were like, because what happened was Maria's moved out. And so we did a whole couch switch where we took the couch from our sunroom and moved it to Maria's new condo that she's renting. And then we took the couch from the living room and moved it to the sunroom. So obviously we had a void in our living room. And so just kind of yesterday as we were driving back home, I was like, let's go by the couch store. Let's just see if we can find, some kind of furniture or something that would, and with no intentions of really buying anything, but at least starting to get ideas of what we may want. And I think you and the boys sat on almost every couch.
We did. Yeah.
But there was one couch in particular that you guys were like, all three of you agreed on. Like, this is a good couch.
It was so comfortable. And when we ended up deciding we'd get it, spoiler alert, but I was like, this may be the most comfortable couch I've ever been on. And
yeah, you were sitting on it last night watching TV and you were just like, oh, this couch is so comfortable.
Yeah, it makes me upset that I have to leave and go out of town because I can't just sit there. I may never exercise or walk around or do anything again because you might just come and I'll just be on that couch all the time. But we struggle because we have 2 dogs and 2 cats. And so it was like, don't want, it's like, do you get something nice if it might get messed up? But then at the same time, our other couch, we went really inexpensive. And so it just looked so worn so fast.
Quick. Yeah.
It was like the material. It's like and it wasn't even the animals. It's like where we would
just
sit
humans.
on it.
Yeah.
It just looked like worn. And I was like, is it worth it to save the money if you got to buy a new couch in 2 years or something? Because I don't know how long we've had that one, but it was cheap. I mean, it was. And so the place we go and we buy a lot of our furniture is Colfax Furniture. But they get market samples because for people who don't know about North Carolina, High Point is I don't know.
It's still considered the furniture capital of the world.
Yeah, they've got that big chair, right?
Yeah.
Because Thomasville has the dresser and High Point, or my back was the dresser.
Thomasville has the chair.
Anyway, some roadside America things if you want to see them. But so they come in and they have the big furniture market. And so these samples go to this store. And so what you get is what you get. So if you go in and the couch is dinged up, or if there's one thing, if you're like, well, I would love this if they had it in a different color, you can't do that. You just...
What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
It's one of one.
Yeah. But the table and chairs we're sitting at right now came from there. They're much... I think it's good quality most of the time, but much more inexpensive than you would.
And they get it from every manufacturer. So they get it from cheap manufacturers up to high dollar manufacturers.
Yes, and not all of it's super bougie or anything. But it was funny because we were looking at the couch and it's the most expensive piece of furniture we've ever had. We were trying to figure out if we could work out a trade of the Forerunner.
Yeah.
We were like, do you think they do an even trade of the Forerunner? So y'all are probably thinking this is like a $10,000 couch. No, that just tells you how little value the Forerunner has. But yeah, so we sat out and then you came back. We didn't buy it then. We came back home and you were just like, hey, if you really like that couch, we can go get it. And if I get analysis paralysis. I even have the t-shirt. It's a game t-shirt, but it's got AP on it because I just can agonize over decisions like that. And I'd rather just buy it. I mean, we liked it. We all thought it was comfortable. The color is good. And it was like, why go and shop around and what would I save a little bit of money or spend a little more or find something that maybe is a tad better? But it was like, it just didn't feel like it was worth the mental energy it would take. So I was like, sure. And y'all went and got it.
We went and got heaviest piece of furniture I've ever lifted in my life.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was so heavy. But we got it in here. But yeah, I liked it last night. You and Jacob and Josh all got to sit. It also came with a recliner. We were able to finagle that deal and get a recliner with it.
Because our other recliner was broken.
And so we have a new couch, new recliner, matching recliner. And the three of you got to enjoy it as I sat in the old recliner on my birthday. But I appreciate that.
No, listen, you always, if anybody tries to sit in your recliner, you're always like, this is my recliner. And you won't let anybody sit in it. I would have loved to have
sat in one of the new pieces of furniture last night.
Well, you could have sat in the middle part that won't recline.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's that do for
me? Yeah, anyway. And then last thing, we went to dinner. To a bougie dinner place we had not been to, but in an unlikely location.
Well, I mean, we've been to Jolo. We've talked about Jolo before,
but
Jolo
we haven't
Winery.
Eaten dinner there.
We've never had dinner there. And so our friends Tim and Wendy invited us out last night for my birthday. And so the four of us drove up to Pilot Mountain.
Yeah.
And went to Jolo's restaurant, and it was good.
Yeah, because we've been outside. So Jolo is a winery, but they also have a restaurant, and it's like, it literally has views. Pilot Mountain, again, if you're not from around here, not from around these parts, you look it up. It's a very distinct shaped mountain, and it's got these fabulous views of the mountain if you're outside. But it was like 1,000 degrees and very humid, so we didn't want to sit outside, but we were inside in the restaurant. Sue, who's now a loyal listener, I think likes to eat at Jolo.
I could tell that about her.
She looks like she'd be a Jolo
her and
person.
Mark
they're
high. Jolo
they're
Winery upscale people.
Yeah, you can tell that.
It's right around the corner from their house.
Yeah,
we should have stopped in and said hello.
Well, they are they have been at the Faroe, it's F-A, am I going to say it right? Islands, which is, if you look on the map, there's an island between Scotland and Iceland. It's like the top of the world.
Is that where they're at right now?
They were just at those islands, and now they're in Iceland, I think, or something.
Dang.
And then coming back. So, yeah, they weren't home, or we could have recommended it. We could have been like, it's Mike's birthday.
Nice enough to invite us.
I know. I don't know why.
Why don't they ever invite us on trips?
I don't know. We should,
They invited us on one outing 20 years ago to go see Guns N' Roses. And we went with them, and they've never invited us to do anything since.
It's probably because you made a poor impression with your kind of like crassness and all of that. And they're probably like...
Was I crass? Guns N' Roses? I don't know.
I don't know. You were a lot nicer 20 years ago, so I can't attribute it to that. Yeah, you were a nicer person then. Anyway, yeah, they should definitely have invited us on their like really long vacation to cool places. I agree.
I mean, they don't have kids they have to worry about traveling with.
Yeah.
We don't have kids we have to worry about traveling with. So, I mean, this is the perfect. So, I mean, I'm just inviting ourselves next time.
Yeah. And I think they went, let's see, they've been to Norway relatively recently. I think they love that. But Sue, they've been a lot of cool places. And so Sue's very organized too. So she I'm sure probably has great records if anybody ever wanted to go, but she's looked at like doing some travel planning and stuff.
I have very similar careers now. We're both, what's she call it? Lunch ladies? What are we?
Ladies who lunch.
Ladies who lunch.
Ladies that lunch.
We're not making cafeteria food for high school students.
Ladies that lunch. Ladies that lunch. That's what it is. She's a lady that lunches.
Yeah, and I'm a man that lunches.
You're a man that lunches.
That's what happens when we're kept people.
But you need to have a name. See, ladies sounds better than man that lunches. You've got to work on your marketing of what you're doing. It just doesn't sound quite right.
How about humans that lunch?
Yeah. And then last thing we did is we made a stop because you had a free drink at Dutch Bros and Maria had to work. And so she got to ring the cowbell.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was an exciting day.
Yep.
It was a good birthday. It was a great birthday.
Yeah.
So well done, Beth.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, did you want to talk about your presents?
I wasn't going to, but
okay.
Whatever. I will mention one present in particular.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. I had mentioned on the podcast a while back about a concert that Josh and I went to.
Yeah.
And you can go back and listen to all the details, but it was some I don't know what you would call this person, modern indie rapper, I don't know. But I went with Josh to this concert. And while I was there, kids were treating me very respectfully. I was the oldest person there by 20 years, 30 years maybe. And at one point I walked into the restroom, and when I did, some boys that were in there immediately left. And I was like, oh, that's odd. And then I was like, I bet they think I'm an undercover cop, or they think I'm security. And so I made the joke on the podcast that I want to get like a shirt that says security so I can wear it to these concerts and have all these kids respect my authority. And that's what Tim and Wendy got me for my birthday. They listened to the pod and they were like, we've got to get Mike that. So they got me a shirt that says security. So I'm going to start wearing that to every concert.
Unrelated, it is amazing kind of what can happen if you are dressed the right way. I don't know if you remember this, but remember when we did the mission trip years ago in Delaware?
Yeah.
And we were in Dover and we went to the racetrack?
Yep.
We were like volunteering for an organization, and you were working, but I was volunteering. But anyway, you wore a uniform red shirt. It had a small logo on the front, but on the back, very large, it says staff. So we weren't misrepresenting anything. We just like got out and we're like, ooh, we want to see this. But the next thing we know, we were like opening doors and walking and going through places. But we had on these matching bright red shirts that said staff really big in the back.
Yeah,
and no
nobody
one
said
said
a
a word to us.
Yeah, this was at Dover International Raceway, I guess is what they call it, the big Dover or the NASCAR races and other stuff too. And I always tell my kids, if you act like you belong there, nobody will say a word to you. We've gotten backstage at so many things because we just act like we belong.
We're just confident, and we don't say anything. It's not like we misrepresent.
We're not lying.
We just walk on in.
Just
that's
act
what we
like
did
you
there.
belong.
Yeah, we just
and
walked around.
That day, we just walked right in to the raceway. And I wish I could find this picture now that you say it. But I climbed all the way up into wherever the checkered flag and the green flag guy stands. Like I stood up there at Dover Raceway and acted like I was waving a flag.
Right.
Nobody said a word to us.
Yeah, they didn't say
because
anything.
We had staff on us.
Yeah.
They probably thought we were testing it.
And who knows? Now, what we don't know is if we'd had on normal shirts and we're walking around doing that, how would that have changed? I don't know. Would it have made a difference? But I just think it would. But I kind of think it would have. I just don't know that people would have been like that otherwise. And so anyway, it was just funny, like thinking about that. So I think about you with that shirt. Even if your quote security shirt looks different than everybody else's, I think people could still defer to you and be like, oh, he's security. And it's also just kind of funny, like what psychologically that's what anybody can buy. I mean, think about it. Anybody can buy that shirt that you got as a gift, but like it doesn't mean anything. But there will probably be a lot of people who will be like, yeah, that guy's security. Well, plus you could have just look intimidating and scary.
I think I do sometimes.
Yeah.
Before we jump into today's topic, I did share another story from the week. I had the tale of 2 comedy shows. I got to perform for the first time ever at the Flatiron in Greensboro. Oh, yeah, Beth just found the picture.
I found
it.
I'll send it to you right now. I was looking. I was like, I bet I can find that. And there you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, keep going. Yeah.
Please send that to me.
I will.
And,
yeah. Funny. Anyway.
So, now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, you were talking about the comedy.
So I went to Flatiron. I went to Flatiron and performed. It was they were doing a comedy show, I was told, for the first time. So it was me and 4 other comics. And one of the other comics I knew I'd worked with before, and she invited me to come be a part of it. And I really wasn't sure what to expect. I'd never been to the Flatiron. I know it's been around a while. But I walked in, and the venue is gorgeous. It's a concert venue / bar. But it's kind of an upscale-ish bar. There's nothing really that's like, it doesn't feel... it doesn't feel bar-y. It feels like a music venue first. And then that also happens to serve drinks. And it ended up, by showtime, it was packed. There was not a seat available in the whole place. And it was a great crowd. And they're right on top of you. And so when I got up on the stage, that front row was like 6 feet from me. I mean, it was good. And it was packed. And it was honestly the most fun I've had doing comedy since I started. The crowd was into it. They were laughing at everything. It was great energy. It was really, really good. I got a lot of compliments after the show. It was the first show I've ever done where I had people messaging me on social media after the show that were like in the audience saying, "You were so funny. That was so good," and started following me. It felt like I was like, dang, I've arrived. I am Nate Bargatze. That's who I felt like. Put me on Mount Rushmore with Nate and Jim Gaffigan
Just
and Dusty
don't think
Slade.
that you can wear sweatpants to perform, though, because you're not that.
I will at some point.
Anyway, keep
And
going.
then God said, let's humble you a little bit. So Taylor and I did a praise and punchlines at a local church here in the Triad. And they did a men's night where they cooked a whole hog and did a full barbecue meal. It was free to men. And then they had Taylor and I perform. And they had a good crowd. I mean, for a men's event, they had over 100 dudes show up, which I thought was really good. The problem was the church is a good-sized church. And so they probably had 400 or 500 chairs in their sanctuary. And they didn't rope any of them off. So these men just went and sat wherever. So they were kind of spread out. The sanctuary is more of a multi-purpose room. It doesn't feel like a traditional sanctuary. It's definitely used for all kinds of stuff. And so it felt very large and cavernous. And so when I got up there and I was doing my routine, I could occasionally hear people laugh, but the room was so big and people were so spread out. I felt like I bombed. Like I was like, nobody is laughing at this. I've heard mixed reports. I've had some of the guys were like, "Oh man, you were so funny." And I'm like, "Yeah, I couldn't hear anybody laughing." They're like, "Oh no, people were laughing." Like it was good. But even Tim last night was like, Tim went, and our friend Tim that we went and ate dinner with last night, and he was like, he's like, there was a couple of jokes like you nailed it. And I was laughing. And I looked around and he said, I was thinking, why is no one else laughing at this? Like, this is really funny. But I would say it skewed older, the crowd.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It was just I came off and I'm like, ooh, that was a tough crowd. Like it was total opposite from a tight, small venue that probably had just as many people as this event did. But people showed up there for comedy, ready to laugh.
Which is what I said last night.
Yeah, you and Tim talked about that. Like, it's hard sometimes to sit in church, especially if it's not a church and I don't know if they are or not, embrace comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in our church, I feel like people laugh a lot.
Yeah.
And, but Tim and I, especially
But if you're
me,
one of the more reserved or austere, I don't know, type churches,
it just feels like, should we be laughing in church?
Yeah.
And so that was tough. But I don't know what the mindset was, but it was the total opposite of Wednesday night. Wednesday night, Flatiron, I killed. Friday night at this church, I died. So it was two totally different events.
Well, and I didn't even mean to do this when we were talking about the shirts and stuff, but it does make you, because what Tim and I were talking about last night is the psychology of two things. It makes you think about how much, and I guess all the interior designers or people that really care about space and what things look like would be like clapping right now, but thinking about just the setting of where you are, because you would think, well, if somebody's funny, I can just plop them anywhere and it's going to be the same experience. But I do think there's something, because even speaking or being in church services over the years or concerts or anything, there is a different feeling when you're all kind of like close together in a space.
I would say most
not
modern sanctuaries, and this is a new church that was just built in the last 10 years. It was built as a multi-purpose use. They're all built for music.
Yeah.
How can we make the acoustics the best so people aren't getting blown out?
Right.
Which is fine when you got a full band. But when you just got one person up there talking, your voice, people can hear you.
Right.
But everything else that's going on in there just gets absorbed and lost in all the sound stuff that's going on. Like the things they put up for acoustics, the different panels and everything.
Which is why probably so many of these comedy clubs, I mean, I haven't thought about this, but ours, this small, like cram you kind of in there. They're all tight, because it cuts out on that echo or whatever you would have, and like everybody's close. But then the other thing, was what I brought up, and Tim was like, the good point, and we talked about it, was like, how much of it too is just the mindset that you enter something with, so like, or the associations you have when you enter that building. And this isn't about this church, but just, if you believe church is a serious, like, place that you go and, like, to your point, it's not a laughy fun or whatever, then how much of that is influenced because you're in that building and that's the way you feel, like subconsciously you're supposed to behave. You don't go in and laugh or whatever, act like fool or anything like that. And then how much of it too is just, even though they might have known they're showing up for some comedy, like just, I don't know, it's the crowd you're going to get at a comedy club, like you have intentionally gone and bought tickets. You are going with like, I am going to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you're going to laugh because as I've seen in some of the things you've seen, we've seen some people that like, we don't laugh, but that's your full intent. Who knows how much that influences like people's experience. But then we also just talked about that might not have been too, well, we don't know because we don't know how many people were laughing, but like, just again, it comes back to like what kind of audience, like what age people and all that stuff, like your stuff and identify with it.
Right. So, yeah. So, if I had only done the Wednesday night show, I'd be sitting here today feeling like I'm the next big comic.
Yeah.
Today, I'm like, what am I doing?
So you don't think I could go resign like this week since I'll be in person? You don't think that's a good plan, to just be a kept woman?
Well, I say that and gigs keep coming.
Yeah.
I booked a gig this week. I booked 3 gigs this week.
Yeah.
I booked one at Shady Grove. I don't even know if I told you that.
Mm-mm.
Taylor and I are doing praise and punchlines at Shady Grove Church.
It'll be like a homecoming.
It is homecoming. Mm-hmm. That is where Beth and I got our start 30 years ago.
In ministry. Yeah. That was our first youth ministry and everything. Yeah.
So Shady Grove, I will be back there in September. In October, I got asked to come do another fundraising gala, this time it's in Monk's Corner, which is right outside of Charleston, South Carolina. So we'll be going down there Halloween weekend and doing a gala down there. And then we got booked at Harvest Church in Duncan, Oklahoma in November. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of a mixed bag I had a great show Wednesday, struggled Friday, but then had 3 bookings this week. And so, yeah.
I think that's the hard thing about anything creative and artistic, putting yourself out there too, like book writing, comedy, singing, painting. I mean, making things. Chris, our friend Chris that listens, crochets a lot. I don't know, but I mean, you probably even have it with that. Like there's going to be stuff that you make that people will love and people would want to buy. You are comparing my
comedy to crochet.
I'm just saying like, yes,
I don't even know what that means.
Your comedy's as exciting
I don't
as
know
crocheting.
if Chris should be insulted or I should be insulted.
I'm just saying like there's stuff that you're going to create that you're going to have some people that love and then stuff you're going to create that people don't, and it's hard because you have to keep creating. You have to keep doing it.
We'll use that as a transition for today's topic, Beth.
Oh, okay.
You've created 3 things in your life that you're very proud of.
My children?
Your children.
Yes.
Last week, we dove into this idea of marriage. Mm-hmm. And, this came from loyal listener Matt, who proposed a question and said, hey, why don't you take the 4 pillars, the intersection that we talk about of marriage, family, careers, and ministry, and what's something you would change? Mm-hmm. And so we did that last week with marriage. We went through, both shared, this is what I would have changed, this is what you would have changed, not about each other, but about how we viewed marriage.
Yeah.
So this week, the next topic is parenting. Mm-hmm. You have created 3 kids that you're very proud of. Mm-hmm. So I thought today, for fun, before we got into the one thing that if you could go back and change something as a parent, just one, I've got a series of would you rathers.
Oh, boy.
Some of these will ask for explanations. Some of them won't. Okay. So we're not going to spend a million years on this. But here you go, Beth. 10 would you rathers as it pertains to being a parent.
Let's remember, too, I just said I have analysis paralysis, so this should be interesting.
Well, you did really well the last time. It's been a while since we've done a would you rather. And
I'll try to go with first impulse. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you rather go back to the newborn stage for 1 week or peak teenage stage for 1 week?
Oh.
And when I say peak teenage, that's not a good thing.
That's when they're like screaming and crying.
Just like a newborn.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend a week with a newborn at peak or
like
teenage?
Jacob with colic and jaundice and all that, or like teenage? Probably newborn. Newborn.
Okay. All right. So you would go newborn.
Even if I had to get no sleep for that entire week, except little cat naps here and there.
Over peak teenage.
Yes.
All right.
The peak teen, you can't reason. I mean, you can't reason with either one, but at least a newborn, you can tell yourself, like, none of this is intentional or directed at me. With a teenager, it all feels like it's directed
I think
at you,
that's it.
whether
As a
it is or
teen,
not.
it's hard not to take it personal.
Yeah.
As a newborn, they don't even know who you are.
Yeah, it's
So
like
there's
this baby doesn't have any other way to communicate. So it's more about how you're receiving it, I think.
Okay, here's the next one. Would you rather have your kids never clean their room or never put their dirty dishes in the dishwasher?
Ugh, gosh, that's a hard one. Probably never clean their room because at least you can close the door. And as long as it's not like smelling and rotting or something in there, you don't have to go in there. You can avoid it. Whereas the dishwasher is there for everybody to see. And that tends, because you walk by the sink all the time. And I can't tell you how many times I'm like, hey, everybody, the dishwasher's empty. Please put your stuff in the dishwasher. 2 minutes later, put your stuff in the
Yeah,
dishwasher.
but you can shut a kid's door.
Yeah.
That you don't have to like.
Yeah, I don't have
be
some
a
type
part
of
of.
magic cover. No one's invented like some. I'm imagining like a silver thing that would like roll out like a sunroof
Yeah.
to cover the sink. You know, we don't
And we
have
say
that.
that as we look at a
It is
sink full of dirty dishes. And your parents and my parents are coming over this
and
afternoon.
they're going to be like, why?
And so now I've got to do dishes
Yeah.
to get ready for our
Right,
parents to
right.
come over.
Yeah.
Would you rather know everything your kids did when you weren't around or have them know everything you did before they were born?
I want to know everything they do because I am nosy. I'm nosy, but I will carry a secret to the grave.
Even
I
if
wanna
it
know
breaks
things.
your heart? Even
Yes.
if you're just like,
Yes, I want to know. I have always been a person, I feel like knowledge like gives you the ability because at least you know and you're working with all the facts. Whereas otherwise I'm speculating. And maybe that's why I'm a lawyer. I want to gather all of the information that I can have and then I make decisions based on that. I would rather know.
let's take a pause in this. This disturbed me. You just said, I will take a secret to the grave. What are you hiding from me?
I'm talking like I could be I'm talking about like at work and things like CIA
No, I'm talking
agent.
about me. Like
I'm
what?
not hiding
What are you hiding
anything
from me?
No, but they used to joke about that. Like
I
one
feel
of
like
my,
you're getting you're trying to throw me off here. You're changing direction.
one of my friends in college would say that. She'd be like, Beth's really nosy. Like she wants to know all the stuff, but she won't I don't gossip about it or share it. I just want to know it. Like I want to have the information. Again, I think that's why I'm doing investigations at work. Now, sometimes I don't like not being able to talk about it because you're like, this is crazy. And I'd like to be able to talk to somebody about it. But anyway, so it's not by choice, but I'm just saying I can if I need to.
Here we go. Would you rather, number 4, would you rather have our kids move back home at 25?
Yes.
You didn't even let me finish.
I want them here with me forever.
Okay, then I'm going to take that as your answer
Okay.
as I finish the rest of this.
Okay.
For 1 year,
Oh.
or have them call you every single day for the rest of their lives.
Oh.
Too bad. You don't get phone calls. No,
So
That's what you get for being impulsive
I'm
and
sorry.
cutting me off.
I'm sorry.
I say, would you rather? Why would you take the first one?
Because in my mind because before you said they were only here a year, I thought what could be better than they just come live with me forever.
It's a would you rather. You didn't even let me finish.
Well, I will be better.
Too bad.
I'm sorry.
You get your kids for 1 year
No.
at 25 and you never hear from them again.
This is not legally binding. I would
is.
take the phone call
No.
every day. No, stop
Nope,
it. Anyway.
Nope.
At this point, I'm lucky if I get sort of a text message like 6 months later. But yeah, so.
Rhea calls me every night now before she goes to bed. Tell me good night. now
No,
that
she
she's moved on.
doesn't.
Would you rather, number 5, would you rather have our kids become exactly like me or exactly like you?
Whew.
And I'm not saying you can't pull out the good and leave the bad. Do you want your kids to be exactly like Beth Mabe Giannopoulos or exactly like Michael Byron Giannopoulos?
Oh, that I don't know. That's hard.
You got to choose. Look, dead air doesn't make for good podcast.
I know I can't. I'm struggling. I mean, my impulse is probably, I guess, selfishly me, but then I'm like, oh, I don't know. There's so many things that are bad about that. But then I'm like, if they're like me, I can know what they're thinking and predict what they want to do. And then we're going to be best friends forever because I would know exactly what to do with them because they're just like me.
Says the most unpredictable woman I know. Like you think you can predict. I've tried for 30 years to predict you, Beth. I know you better than any other human on this earth, and I can't predict anything you're ever going to do. So why you think you can predict yourself?
I don't know. Wishful thinking there, I guess.
Would you rather know exactly how much money your kids make or how much exactly they spend?
Oh, gosh. That's hard, too, because, I guess maybe how much they spend, and then I could try to intervene and have an intervention because I could speculate on what they're making and probably
But
what
knowing
they're
how
spending.
much they make also could give you peace of mind.
That's true.
Like if you see them spending a lot and you're in your mind, you're like, oh my God, they're broke.
Yeah.
Well, no, if they've got a nice 6-figure job.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, it's not a big deal that they're doing that, maybe.
So which one would you rather have?
I still think I'd rather know what they spend, maybe. Because then I might know if they've got like a gambling addiction or, a shopping addiction or something like that. And we need to intervene and help them.
Right. All right. Number 7, would you rather have one of our kids marry someone exactly like you or exactly like me?
Well, it depends, because if the kid's exactly like me, I guess they need to marry somebody exactly like you. And if the kids are exactly like you, they need to marry somebody exactly like me. Whoa, that's hard. I think it depends on the kid. You know?
I think Jacob needs somebody like you.
Yes, I think
Maria
he does too.
needs somebody like me.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know what Josh needs.
I don't either. But I think Jacob is really kind of, he's stubborn in a good way, and he thinks a lot. I think he needs somebody that's going to keep challenging him. Like he needs somebody, like that, like a strong woman, he needs that. And then Maria needs somebody that can introduce the fun and just be there. Like you're like the one that kind of like can bring her emotions into check.
That's what I was thinking more than anything.
The emotional regulation piece or whatever. Yeah, because
she needs a man who's not easily offended.
You regulate her. I do the opposite.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll get her settled down. I'll get her from 10 to 2, and then you walk in the room and crank her up to 12.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you undoing what I just did?
And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just being me.
Yes. You are.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Number 8, would you rather be the parent your kids call when they need emotional support or when they need someone to fix something?
I'm the one that they do.
I know that's what they do, but what would you rather be?
Probably that.
Because they do call you for emotional support. They call me to fix things.
Yes, I think I like the way it is now. I feel like I'm more skilled at that. I don't know that I know how to fix many things.
I think it's because you're nosy and you want to know what's going on emotionally.
Well, that too, because when I know what's going on emotionally, again, I get insight into if they're truly okay, and I think I can get more info. Think about it. If you need emotional support, then it's like, ooh, what's happening? Is there a friend issue? Is it a relationship issue? Are they having self-doubt? If it's like the tube on my car is clogged, I'm not going to get any good intel out of that. Like that's not
I just
helpful.
like to think like I want to put my head in the sand like an ostrich. Like I just would rather not know emotionally.
So you like to be able to like check the box and be like, they called me to fix something, I fixed it. Check. Did my good.
And I'm not even good at fixing things. Well, it depends on what they want fixed. But the emotional stuff, I feel I not carry with me.
Yeah.
I'm just like I just would rather not know.
Yeah. See, I can't, but see, again, it comes back to I'll carry the emotional stuff with me, but to me, knowing is better than the not knowing because I have a very wild imagination, a very vivid imagination, a very active imagination, and I tend to be able to imagine stuff that's worse than the reality. And so for me, the knowing is better.
Yeah. Number 9, would you rather hear your kids say, you were right, or I really appreciate everything you did for me?
Let's see. Has anybody ever told me I was right before? I said, I really just don't know what that would feel like to have that acknowledged. I'm like, wow. I think I would actually rather have them appreciate what I've done more so than be right. Even though it sounds crazy, I love to be right. I think it's more about, I think it would show more, I guess, growth and maturity on their part to recognize people sacrificed or the things. Because we've talked about that before. I think that's one of the hard things with parenting is like you do all these things and you make all these hard choices and they're just completely oblivious to like, you might make every choice in your career, based on them, or you might decide to live somewhere. All sorts of decisions parents make. People that have like 3 jobs for their kids. It's not because they want to have 3 jobs. They're making that choice, but their kids at the time are just kind of oblivious most of the time. They don't realize like what the parents give up.
Yeah, until you're a parent.
Yeah.
All right, last question, and this will lead us into our discussion for the rest of the show. Would you rather be able to go back and change one parenting decision or get a guarantee that all 3 kids will turn out okay?
Oh, get a guarantee. That's if I could have a guarantee, because my problem is if I go back and change the one that I thought was the worst, sometimes my kids might, unless they blocked it out, but they may be like, I don't even remember or know what you're talking about, or I might not change just because I thought it was the worst. They might have thought something else was a lot worse. I would want a guarantee that it's all going to be good, which we don't get.
No, there's no guarantees in life.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to the topic.
Yes.
Matt wants to know, what is one parenting thing that you would change? You've had a week to think about this now.
I know, but I didn't think.
What is one
I've had a
parenting
really
thing
busy
that
week.
you would change in your 23 years of being a parent?
Okay, I think it's a lesson that's taken forever, but it kind of ties in with what we had last week. And people tell you this all the time. And I don't know that any young parent fully believes it and listens to it. So I feel like particularly moms feel like to be a good mom, and I don't know if this is international or American or what, but I feel like most of us feel like to be a good mom, you need to be selfless. I think we feel like to do anything for ourselves is to be selfish. And I'm not talking about like going and buying makeup for myself or getting a massage. I'm thinking more about just taking some time sometimes to be introspective, or just take care of like even stepping away from a situation with the kids to have a moment to collect myself. As a working mom, when the kids were young, I had no confidence in myself. I felt like the kids I always felt like I was missing out on something. Like I felt like all the big milestones or emotional moments would happen when I was at work. And I felt like they were going to look back and who knows, think that like I cared more about work than them, which was not the case. So it was like the FOMO, like the missing out. It's that I don't know what I'm doing. On top of all that, like Jacob was premature. I was in the hospital 12 weeks. I had a lot of complications with him with that placental abruption. It was very, like our first child, I didn't come into it healthy emotionally, mentally, or physically because it was so scary, everything that had happened. And they took great care of me physically in the hospital, but I look back, nobody sent a counselor to talk to me, when we thought Jacob could die or whatever, and I was in the hospital for 12 weeks. So when he came out, I read this information collecting thing I do. I read every book. I don't know if you remember, but because I couldn't do anything else as a nester, I couldn't pick the crib. I couldn't do anything. Do you remember I became obsessed with safety? I read all the books about and I came up with crazy stuff that I was afraid of. When he was born and he went to sleep, he had jaundice, he had a kidney issue, he had a lot of things going on. And I remember thinking, well, we must be doing something wrong. It's got to be us, so we would try all the different sleep training methods and nothing worked. And then we had Maria and she slept. And I was like, oh, well, maybe for a minute, I'm like, well, maybe part of this is the kid. But anyway, I say all that to say, as going through this parenting journey, I just had so much self-doubt and sometimes self-loathing, I guess, I'm a terrible mom. I'm not doing this right. Why is everybody else better at this than me? And when I would think about, people would say, well, you have to take time for yourself, I would think that is selfish, particularly because I worked outside of the home full time. I felt like that I needed to go to work, and from the moment I walked in the door till the moment I fell asleep, I needed to have all my attention on the kids, and I needed to be doing everything right because I had a compressed amount of time with them that they would remember. And if I screwed it up, it wasn't like the days were endless or whatever. And I needed to like hold on to those. The reason that matters is because, just like we talked about with us and communication, I had a lot of stuff with my own, like, there's a lot of stuff we just didn't know. So this isn't our fault. But like, I didn't even know I had ADHD then. And ADHD is more than just attention. ADHD is emotional regulation, just like we were talking about with Maria. It's an inability sometimes to regulate like your anger and your sadness and to kind of get yourself calm. If I had worked on that more, if I'd have taken the time to consistently do what I needed to do in those early years, whether that was exercise, seeing a friend and talking to them, going to counseling, if I would have done that, I think I would have gotten a lot more tools in my toolbox, which would then, by fixing me, would have allowed me to be a better mom.
So you're saying ultimately in all of that, the one thing you would change is you would have spent more time on yourself.
Yes.
To better yourself. So then ultimately you could be a better mom.
Which is what all the books and stuff tell you, that you have to work on yourself. Is that old, like that everybody tells you.
When I do marriage counseling, that's what I tell people.
Yeah.
I'm like, your marriage is not going to work unless you each are working on yourselves individually.
And they tell you that with parenting, with marriages, they tell you that with everything. But there's something about our society, we don't believe that, because to go and work on yourself, that might mean you need to take a few hours every month and go hiking, with a friend so that you can clear your mind. Or it might mean that you need to be in intense therapy, which then therapy wasn't virtual. I might have had to drive 30 minutes, have therapy for an hour and drive 30 minutes back. I would have viewed that as like, that's 2 hours away from my family. That's 2 hours I could be, why am I going to waste this 2 hours away from my kids? Why would I waste them that way? And so, but people told me that and I didn't believe it because it felt selfish. Now, maybe I'm not speaking for all women with this. Maybe this is just a Beth thing. But if I go back and I'm honest about what was in my head, all of this was tied to that, because I think had I been working on myself, I might have figured out that I can't control my baby and toddler's behavior. So if they're crying or not sleeping,
you can't control your teenager's behavior.
Right. And I can impact it.
Yeah.
I can do things that will influence it, but I can't control it. I would have learned that. I would have learned how different, nature and nurture, all that. Yeah, is the nurture part, but there's the nature part. Some kids are just different. I would have learned that, like, kids do sometimes, and this would always make me feel guilty. People would say, well, people are picking up on your anxiety. They even read it now, and people are like, were you anxious when you're pregnant? Well, yeah, with Jacob, I'd say, and even with Maria, because I thought I got pregnant with her so soon after Jacob, and they didn't know what caused the placental abruption. I was terrified the whole time I was pregnant with her. And so then instead of working on that, I then criticize myself like any problem my kids had was my fault because I was anxious when they're pregnant. As if anybody wouldn't be anxious if they're in the hospital for 12 weeks when they're pregnant, but I just say all that. I think working on myself more and being more intentional and making the time for that, which I do recognize looking back, feels like it would have been an impossible ask, because you're barely functioning. We had 2 kids under 2, both in diapers. And both of us have full-time jobs and demanding ones. It feels impossible. But I think if I could go back and change it, that's what I would do.
That was a long answer to say me.
Okay, what about you? What would you
Mine's going to be much shorter. Uh-huh. I think if I could go back and change one thing parenting-wise for me, it would be don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I made everything a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm talking
this is where Jacob really got the brunt of the harshness of this as our firstborn.
Like bad behavior, bad decisions, or just not even knowing. Just, you're just a kid. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you kind of snap as a parent and you're just like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Well, I never took the time to explain why you shouldn't do that. It was more reactionary parenting than proactive parenting.
Right.
So, and there was a lot of things then that I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the worst thing that's ever happened.
Right.
And then you look at life later and you're just like, that didn't matter at all.
Right.
And I think I've done a much better job with each kid as it's gone on. But Josh, definitely, I'm the most chill with.
Yeah, me too.
And because I realize one poor decision or one action or whatever it may be, it's not a pattern. It's a one-off. And if you parent correctly, you correct correctly, you react correctly, then it's fine. Yeah. I think I overreacted a lot early on as a parent, and I made everything a big deal. Everything was the end of the world. Everything had to be addressed like right then with like the utmost priority and extremism. And it just wasn't. Like, it should have just been a lot more of, you know what? Don't do that again. Like, shake it off. Like, here's why this wasn't a good decision. Let's move on, versus like that. Oh my God, I can't believe, like it's just something. I'm making this up because I don't even know if this is a real thing. But I'll just say, like, we say you find out your kid in third grade cheated on a test.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're as a parent, oh my God, my kid's a cheater. He's going to cheat his way all the way. Like, he's going to flunk out of college. He's going to cheat on his spouse. Like, you know what I mean? It's like but no, it was just one kid who was afraid he wasn't going to make a good grade, and he made a wrong decision, and let's sit him down and say, hey, this is why cheating on a test is wrong. Yeah. Don't do it again. You know what I mean? Like, but instead it was like you take it and you compound it a million times, and I think you bring a lot of shame on your kid, unnecessarily because of those things. And so I wish I could dial myself back. Like, I wish I could go back and not react the way I reacted a lot. And some things need big reactions. Most things don't. The times when big reactions are needed are so few and far between. But as a parent, there's no governor. There's like, your reaction is just like 0 to 100, and it's just like you react every small and every big mistake by your kid. You make 100, and it's nothing. So I've worked really hard the last couple of years to show Jacob and Maria a lot more grace than I showed them early on in life, and to apologize for how I reacted. And with Josh, I feel like I'm doing a better job of, not overreacting to things. So I think if I could go back, I would change that a lot.
I would too. And I think about,
You've already changed one thing. You've changed yourself as far as bettering yourself. So that's such a umbrella statement. Maybe that falls under it. No,
but it kind of goes, but what I was going to say, a good example of this is like Josh backed into that tree with his car. Like, if we go progressively, like when Jacob did that, a lot of what we did though in our overreaction, and I try to explain this to the kids, it's out of fear. Like, it might come out as anger or whatever, but it's really based in fear. Because I think if like Jacob or Maria, they were our first drivers, did that, then my mind would go to like, well, if they're backing into trees, they could, back into something or be in a car accident. Like my mind would go to like, well, this means maybe they don't have the driving skills and they're out there being crazy because if they did this in our driveway. So then I would overreact with fear.
That's a great point. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, had Jacob, when he turned 16, backed into something, I think I might have reacted with, why are you being so negligent? Why aren't you watching more? Why don't you do this?
You got to be careful because you could do,
Literally, Josh backed into a tree and then in the corner of his back bumper. And he came in, he had gotten home and told you and all about it before I got home, and you had told me. So when I came home, he's like, Dad, I'm so sorry I bumped into that. I'm like, okay, it's just a bumper. Don't worry about it. Like, it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. And I wish I had reacted like that with the other two.
Too. Because the same thing, like when he called me and he was like, I did this. I was like, oh, okay, well, are you fine? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, did it hurt the tree? Because I knew he hadn't hit it. I just didn't know if I'd hurt their tree and needed to do anything. He's like, no. And I'm like, well, send me a picture. And he's like, but don't worry about it. And then he sent a picture and I'm like, oh, that's not even as bad as I thought it would be. Go have fun with your friends. We'll deal with it later. Yeah. Versus, I think that reaction and we didn't know what we didn't know, but I think the reason we can react that way with Josh is we saw both Jacob, then Maria back into things and then still be able to drive, like, so it was almost like we were like,
now they've bumped into a lot of things.
And maybe that's
and the world hasn't ended
yet. That
has
desensitized us to the bumping into things because, again, we keep the body shops in business. But seriously, we've seen them do that. And so we don't automatically go to, oh my gosh, if I don't address this in a super strong way, they're going to go out there and be in a car accident. And, all these awful things will happen. We're able, again, to regulate ourselves. And we just have more maturity from having parenting experience, I think, in the way we approach the third than we did with the first. And you can't go back and change that. But to your point, and I think that's one of the things I have a lot, again, that I work on in therapy of like going back, beating myself up. Like I think about, this is what the kids are going to end up in therapy talking about, that like was the course that changed their life, something I did. But to your point, now that the kids are older, I try to sometimes have those conversations, the whole conversation is like, this is my first time being a mom. I don't know what I'm doing, nor did I ever really know what I'm doing. Mike and your dad and I were just doing the best we could as we went. And I do own it and say, I'm sorry. Like there are things I go back, like, or they'll even bring up sometime and I'll be like, I'm really sorry I did that. Because that's all we can do is try to, and I think the other point to that though, and I'm sorry feels hollow if I keep doing the same thing over and over again. I think it matters when I say I'm sorry and they at least see that I'm trying. And that doesn't mean I'm perfect. But the way I try to think about it in my head now too, like I'm modeling going to therapy. I'm modeling like trying to, work on these things. So I'm not getting it perfect, but at least they know I'm working at it. So I have to hope that goes a long way.
So there you go, Matt. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
Go be a better parent than us. You and Melissa.
Yeah. Don't
be a better.
Go work on yourself and don't sweat the small stuff.
Be a better parent than your father-in-law. That's not, and I'm talking about Chuck.
Yeah. But that's a hard one. I mean, I think that's the thing with the kids. And the other thing that's hard with the kids is just what we said. We're not going to know because there aren't any guarantees. You might do it all right or all wrong, and they still turn out, what happens.
Yeah.
We're just not going to know.
Great parents that we know are great parents that have had kids just kind of make some poor choices in life, and they got to figure it out. And we've seen some parents that are terrible parents, and somehow their kids rise above it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of that through our youth ministry years,
absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, Beth. Well, I guess that brings this episode of Hey, Are You Still There to a close. Yeah. Thanks for all your honesty every week, especially in parenting here. That's good stuff.
Oh, is it? What are we going to talk about next week? What I have to think about?
Next week is careers.
Oh.
If you could go back and change one thing about your career, what would you do? And so, obviously...
Oh, I already know my answer to that one.
Okay, well, good.
Ooh, everybody just wait with anticipation. But as soon as it happened,
yeah,
I'm like, I know this one. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm going to give this plug one more time, and we'll do this more frequently, hopefully, that if you're a listener and you have company that you would like to sponsor on our podcast, we would love to do a sponsorship. We can talk to you about that. We have several different price points available and different things that you'll get out of those price points. So if you would like to be a sponsor of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast, we would love to talk to you about that. You can listen everywhere podcasts are found: Apple, Spotify. We even have our own website, heyareyoustillthere.com, where all of our podcasts are on there. Please give us a good review, share it with people, and that would be fantastic.
Oh, and you didn't do the poll we need to still poll people about what their favorite episodes were. So when somebody asks us where to start or which ones to listen to, we need to do that.
Yeah, I need to do that. I always say I want to do a poll and I always forget.
Yeah.
I think it's because I get no help from you on this. This is all up to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me, listeners. But there have been times when he just does his own thing and he'll be like, well, it's my podcast. So it'll be our podcast when he needs me to do a task. It's his podcast if he decides he's just going to do the podcast without me. I've never done one independently, so that indicates more ownership on your part.
I have offered it to you how many times?
Yeah.
And you refuse.
That just feels, I know I can talk a lot, but I just don't know that I would like doing it by myself.
Yeah, you may not
talking
be as
to the
engaging
air
by yourself.
Yeah, I think there's something about like being able to see you across from me. I don't know how it would be just talking and there's a wall over there looking at me.
That's why I have a cutout picture of you. I hang on a chair whenever I do one.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is it me making a face?
Yes.
Or
you looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Am I looking like a bear? Because Mike used to tell me too, when I die, he's going to stuff me like a bear.
Yeah,
and I'll have my arms up over my head or whatever. Yeah. That's what you'll use.
And when I bring ladies over to the crib, they're going to be like, who's that?
Gosh. ladies over to the crib.
That's right.
Gosh.
All those old ladies that love me.
Yeah. Anyway, we are looking for sponsors. We'll get back to that. But anyway.
I heard a funny, I will close on this because in the process of putting together a comedy show for Palmetto, I've reached out to a couple of comics that have shown great interest. These are national comics of coming and performing there on the comedy show. One of them is a guy named Brian Bates. And Brian is a best friend of Nate Bargatze. He's on his podcast. Brian got married very late in life. We were just talking about this, and he was 50 years old when him and his wife had their first kid, and his wife was like in her upper 40s. So it isn't like he married a much younger woman. It was just they both had never been married, got married, had a kid later in life. So Brian's actually a little older than me, but he was telling a joke that now he looks back on that he was kind of a stupid joke because he's a stand-up comedian. He would get up because he's like 49 or 50, and he'd be like, all right, where's all my single ladies at? And like in the club, a couple of people raise their hands, and he would do a lot of churches, right? Yeah. And so those crowds sometimes can skew older. He's like, no, I didn't mean single ladies. Where's all my shingle ladies at? And then the old ladies would raise their hands. He's like, that's it. That's my women, the shingle ladies. And that's how I feel. Like I'm going to have a shingle lady over at the crib. And they're going to be like, who's that? It's going to be you stuffed in the corner.
Gosh, this is that. And the other thing, there used to be when we would go, the house we lived in, the way that I would have to drive home from work or from the kids' school or anything, there was this really sad long-term care facility. And you would always be like, hey kids, that's where I'm going to put your mom when she gets old. Like, you were so cruel to me about this whole aging thing.
The good news is I think the place is for sale. So I've thought about buying it. And then you could have
just
the whole
so you
place
could
to
put
yourself.
me there.
Yeah. Like, Beth, I'm giving you this whole nursing home.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Oh, gosh. Yeah. It would just stress me out. You would talk about the instigator. Yeah. You know that stressed me out, and I would get so upset by it.
That's right. So anybody, like, subscribe, all the kind of stuff to the podcast. I've also, at the advice of a friend, I have created the Michael G Comedy YouTube account. And so I'm putting up my own Michael G Comedy clips up on that. So if you're on the YouTube, you can go punch in Michael G Comedy and I'll pop up on there. And you could just please subscribe to that. I'm going to start posting videos and stuff on that.
Last thing I thought about, too, you should use, like, your card from our friend Doug, the cool card. What did it say in there? Like, you could use it as your slogan. You should put that up, like, you're a cool dude.
I am a cool dude.
Yeah,
yes.
like, that was a good one.
Doug, I'm not a big fan of cards.
But he gave me the best
Doug gave
one.
me a great card that I'll keep for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
it's, like, very
I think
elaborate.
He spent more on that card than he did my gift.
It was, because it's like got this leather jacket with zippers that zip.
Yes.
We were all looking at it about how cool it was. And then it says, you're a cool dude.
That's right.
Yes.
I am a cool dude to Doug.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been Mike.
And Beth.
And this has been, yet again, another episode of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast.